invite on stage Pablo from Chain4Travel.
Hi guys, my name is Pablo Castillo. I'm co-founder and CTO of Chain4Travel, and today I'm gonna talk about something very boring. It's infrastructure. So when Luca invited me to this conference, I thought, okay, I'm not going to go into the depths of blockchain technology itself, because actually we are not Web3 folks. We come from a complete different angle. I will explain that later on, why we believe that actually on the one hand side, the travel industry is worth to have its own blockchain, and what kind of issues we can actually solve with that technology. And I also brought a few slides because most of you companies, you will face the same issues like we have, or challenges, when talking to very conservative companies to convince them why blockchain should be something they should consider. Because, I mean, we heard it today, a lot of CFOs or also C-levels think blockchain equals crypto equals scam. So, and this is one of the misconceptions we have actually to work. We did a shitty job when it comes to the naming, definitely. It's too complex still, it's early days. So that's what I'm gonna show you a little bit what we do. The base question we asked ourselves, because we are three founders coming actually from the travel industry, is actually this question. Are we going to do business the same way like we did in the past millennium? Technology has evolved, but those of you looking a little bit behind the scenes of the technology landscape in travel, how would you rate that? What do you think how travel technology looks like? We have shiny front ends, we have nice apps, but behind the scenes? Thumbs down? Yes. We are working with systems who are older than I am, interfaces who are older than I am, and I'm 43 years old. So this is not really future-proof. That's why we said we think there must be technology which can help actually to improve that. That's why we founded Chain4Travel. It's a Swiss-based startup, so we founded it in December 21. Meanwhile, we grew to roughly 50 people worldwide. We have a bunch of advisors. Beat is also here today, one of our advisors, Falkenstein Ventures. And we gathered in this 1.5 years, we've been active roughly 120 to 150 supporters. Those are companies across the whole spectrum. So we work with airlines. Lufthansa, for instance, is one of our partners. We work with hotel chains, with DMC transport companies, with a lot of service providers. And basically this shows already the power of blockchain technology and why we selected blockchain, because it's agnostic. If you look from a broader spectrum today at the travel industry, each vertical has their own systems. It gets even worse if you go out of different countries. So anybody of you has tried to grow in B2B outside their home market? Yes? What kind of obstacles do you find? Complete different PMS system, different distribution system, different sourcing systems, so it's a lot of APIs. It's a world of APIs, right? And it's hard to maintain it, and it's getting more and more complex. So what we said, okay, we can either continue that route, building APIs, replacing one API, one system by the other, or we try to flip it around. Why not create an ecosystem, a platform where everybody can build on top of that, and basically there's no need for APIs, because we already have the common ground. And that's the groundwork we are doing at Chain4Travel currently. So the founders, Ralf Usbeck, some of them you may know him. He was the inventor of Traveltainment, was also CEO of Amadeus Leisure, and recently he sold his third company, which is Peakwork Dynamic Packaging. Thomas Jenemann was our CEO. He was CEO in many different travel agencies. Myself, been working all my life in the travel industry. So my first job was actually selling trips. I'm not an IT guy, although I've been doing this for now almost 20 years. And our international team, together with me today, is also Sam. He's our head of standards, so he can definitely tell you more about our second exciting projects we're working on. Our T-Chain will come to that. So where do we stand today? So as said, we founded the company in 21, went through a seed investment round, launched our testnet, then we made a private sale last summer, and since last April, we are actually live in the so-called soft launch mode. So we launched our mainnet together with a set of 16 decentralized validators, and we are now testing it. So Q1 this year basically was security testing. We worked there with an audit company called Hexens, which is also the main auditor of Polygon. And since then we are testing the whole infrastructure, release management, because this is one of the challenges also Luca told about. Building centralized system is super easy. You build something, you ship it, oh, fuck it, bug, you fix it. Here in a world of decentralization means you need to coordinate with any given validator. That's why also we said we start only with 16 validators, because starting with 80 validators would have been quite hell and very intense to make sure that the mainnet launches. So later this year, we will most probably be also listed on exchange. But this is currently the phase we are in. So April go live. Now we are testing the apps, smart contracts on the mainnet, and roughly in June we will open up for everybody to build on top of that. You can already start building. It's open source platform. You can have a look at the code and already engage with us if you like. And roughly in Q3, Q4 this year, we will have all our consortium features ready so that Chain4Travel handles actually over the ownership to the consortium. So it's us, Chain4Travel, we are building it in the name of the Camino Network Foundation. We have also set up a foundation in Switzerland. And basically, we are just a facilitator. So once the guys, my guys are finished with the development of the consortium features, everything will be on-chain voting based. And that means actually every validator is an owner of the consortium. And we as Chain4Travel are just one of many validators itself. For those guys here in the room, I take the opportunity as well to make you aware there's a bug bounty running. If you are hackers, so you can actually win quite substantial rewards currently in case you find some critical flaws in our system. Bug bounty is also present on our website itself. And this is a list of companies that are working for us. So we have from airline industry, hotel industry. As I said, our aim was actually to have as much representation across the system, also to avoid a little bit that one group is very, very strong, and then the blockchain becomes, for instance, a new IATA or a new airline industry or only for the hotel industry. That's why we wanted to have a nice representation across the group. 70% of our partners come actually from Europe. 30% are now more and more growing internationally as well, and as we speak. So what kind of challenges do we want to solve actually with that? I mean, at the end of the day, I think you said it as well, Cynthia, we need to create business. We need to solve some real life utility because else there is no point in having an on-chain. So from our perspective, really looking at the travel tech sector, I mean, Web3 and the global travel industry have quite a lot of similarities. We are talking about centralization and with a few players. So here we are talking, for instance, Expedia and Booking, not only basically dictating prices, but also access to technology. The same with the GDSs and the airline space. If those guys don't move, nothing happens. So we have centralization on one hand side, then fragmentation, old technology, hard to scale. So this is another one. And that leads to very slow innovation pace. A lot of our customers don't even notice that because we always try to catch up somehow on the front end, but the back end processes are ancient, so to say. And we believe that by using blockchain technology, actually, we can use or mitigate a few of these challenges. Again, blockchain technology, as any blockchain or any technology, is not a silver bullet, right? But for instance, after Corona, there's such a huge backlog in technology projects at most of the travel companies. Annually, we spend like 10 to 15 billions worldwide in technology. Here you have an answer with an open source platform, which is kind of cheap to develop on. No licenses, no SAP involved. Fraud, 25 billions in hotel only and chargebacks per year. Blockchain technology, same microsecond you book something, the money is transferred as well. So fraud goes away. Payment costs can be up to 3% of the margin. 3%, that's hell of a lot of turnover actually, which you can improve. Basically by giving that away or increasing that to 0.1% per margin, you give each tour operator like the double EBITDA just by mitigating that one. And that's the B2C payment, not talking about interbanking fees and stuff like that. After Corona, a lot of companies we are talking to, they have one big problem. You know what? What's the biggest problem after Corona in certain industries worldwide? Short of staff. People not returning to the travel industry, so they need to automate. I mean, they've tried to do that in the past. In some countries like Asia, where actually stuff is very cheap, they didn't have the need to do so. But now the frontline workers are not returning, so they need to automate as well. Smart contracts give a beautiful actual solution to that. Transaction costs as well, GDSs. Do you know what a flight costs in a GDS from an airline perspective? Up to $16 per flight segment. That's a lot of costs, right? Per flight segment. So basically here, the system we have developed, and booking fees, for instance, is also something the validators can vote on. Our aim is actually that an average transaction costs 1 cent. Because you can vote on the base fee and then, of course, the complexity of the smart contract, but 1 cent is the aim we have. And then, as Cynthia also talked about, it's trust. I mean, we have Matthew here from Trient. You will talk about trust as well later on. But trust in the B2B sector and also for our clients is very, very important. I mean, internet today is a great technology. It's over 20 years old. But the problem is you don't have no clue if it's verified data or not. Most of you who are looking for funds right now, you will also encounter that a lot of VCs tell you, oh, you don't have AI in there. Interesting, yes. AI is a cool technology. I'm a fan of AI. Problem is AI currently is surfing himself out of unverified data. So if we reach the point where you can combine blockchain technology with AI, then you have verified data on a very, very cool setting as well. So that's why we actually said, okay, Camino, we're going to build that. A lot of people, actually, when they see this one, it was mentioned before as well, they ask, are you going to disintermediate some players? In theory, the technology is there to do so, but Camino is open for everybody. So also Booking.com, Expedia, Amadeus, Sabre is one of our partners, for instance, they can join because they drive mass adoption as well. That's the other thing. The angle we are coming from is really to solve technical process problems and issues, and basically Camino is open to everyone. It's open source, as I said. It's run exclusively by industry players, so if you want to become a validator, you need to have some ties to the travel industry. So a 13-year-old kiddo with a gaming PC under his desk, he's not able to join as a validator because he needs to go to a KYB process. Why do we do that? Because we want to have like-minded people. Miner, what's the aim of a miner? Transaction fees, right? High transaction fees. What's our aim? Low transaction fees, because we want to cater for business. So that's why I said we need actually the same mindset there. It's decentralized, there's no central entity. There's the foundation at the beginning most probably will have like a moderation role, because I mean in the travel industry, we have not done the best job to work together. I mean, that's also something we were discussing this morning with a few of us. It's nice in Web3 that Web3 folks are so open and collaborative. Yes, because we are not yet competitors. At one point in time, that may change if this grows as well, right? And we have KYC, KYB verification. Also, if you wanna deploy a smart contract in our chain, the wallet address in the smart contract needs to be verified as well. This is also to enhance trust, because a lot of people still stagger with trusting blockchain technology as well. We will have stable currencies as well, because I mean our business is a timely phased business, meaning I'm buying today for in 9 months' time. So and the transaction of the money maybe through an escrow account goes 1 month before that. So crypto is not really good because it's volatile. One of the parties will lose. That's why we said we are going to introduce as well stablecoins, and our chain is EVM compatible because we know that there is going on. So how do we tackle those companies? How have we gathered 120 supporters and plus? So we heard about Web3 technology. I think I do not need to elaborate on this one. Usually what I tell here people is actually also that technology is evolving exponential. We humans are not. So it's much faster than it's happening. And if you look at the numbers, for instance, of internet users since end of the 90s, compared with, oh, sorry, a lot of clicking. Compared to where we stand Web3-ish today, then a lot of people always tell you, yeah, but it's early days. Why should I invest now? I mean, depending on the data source you're looking at, you have like between 150 and 300 million of active crypto wallets users. That's talking crypto wallets.
That's
right?
the best slide I've ever seen in my life.
Yes,
I mean,
apart
so
that there
good.
are so many logos missing. Because basically our message here is, Booking.com, for instance, was created here. Facebook, Google was created here. So early adapters, 20 years later, are actually the ones dictating market and also technology, right? And for instance, I used to work, and this is no joke, for a company who in 2001 had the chance to buy Booking.com, and the board of directors said no, because they didn't believe that customer at some point in time would actually go to the internet to buy room nights. What's the business model behind that? They will still go to our brick and mortar hotels, right? And the other thing I usually give as a message when I show this slide is, apart from, okay, it's early days, but it's gonna be faster. What was the difference end of the 90s versus today? Main difference? Communication. We have 6 billion connected devices today. At that point in time, most of the households were not connected. We have mobile phones, which gave a huge push, right? Vodafone, for instance, also estimates that by 2030, we will have 6 billion digital wallets. Not talking crypto wallets, but you all have either an Android or a mobile phone from Apple, most probably. So Apple Wallet is already there. Google Pay was renamed to Google Wallet already. So the Vodafone is working now as well, using the private enclave on the devices for keys. So there's a lot coming there, which will be faster. Another thing we know will definitely come is e-money. A lot of people still think, okay, crypto, but actually CBDC is something a lot of people in the travel industry are not aware of. There's actually a web page, it's called cbdctracker.org. You can see which is the state of each country worldwide when it comes to retail adoption and so on. Some of the countries have already started with it. Depending on which country, can also be a tool for not transparency, but also control of the people. But this will come definitely. Same with e-identity. Here in Europe, we have a project ongoing, it's called EDS, where basically 80% of the EU customers or citizens will have a digital ID, and we are being digitalized as well. So now if you take only these two pieces, digital money and digital ID, and imagine how our booking flows will look like in future. You will have your device, biometric secured, you connect to a D-app or front end, book your flights, then basically you give the consent that that application can read your wallet. This is also an important new part. We can read customers' wallet if they consent to that. That means we have access maybe to the transaction history. We have access to NFTs, token gating, et cetera, et cetera. And then in one go, you basically book and transfer the data of the passenger. Now think on your own booking systems you have today. Are they able to do that? 95% of the booking systems today out there are not able to do that. So there will be a lot of adoption. What helped us a little bit was, of course, the rise of NFTs. We had a lot of mass brands onboarding on blockchain technology. And most of those brands, they're not even telling people that they are using blockchain technology. In the travel industry, we also have a few good examples. Since ages, we are definitely not the first ones actually thinking blockchain and travel in one sentence. My first experience was actually with Winding3, 2017. I invited you guys over to Zurich when I was head of IT at Hotelplan, just to understand what is blockchain and what is Winding3 doing. And honestly, I didn't understand it at that point in time. Guys were talking about token and the blockchain, and for me it was honestly, first time I felt old in a meeting, because the guys telling it to me and explaining it to me were like, no, this is the future, this is the internet. Never imagined at that point in time that a few years later I would be on stage talking about the same thing. So these were actually a little bit the reasoning behind we said, okay, blockchain technology can be a good base. When you start building a blockchain, you of course have two options. You're building from scratch, or you look what's around there. We had a few features where we said, okay, this is important for the travel industry. We know it's high volume, it needs to be scalable. Eco-friendliness was very important for us, because actually every tour operator and every airline has sustainability on their strategy roadmap as well. We needed stable currency, and most important for us was the last point actually, that the DAO, or the consortium, is able to steer the gas price. This is one of the biggest topics we wanted, and so we had a look at different kind of blockchains out there. We settled for Avalanche. Who of you guys know Avalanche? AVAX? Good. For us, it was the most flexible blockchain we found at that point in time. And what's today live on the Camino mainnet is actually the P-chain, C-chain, and X-chain. The P-chain is the platform chain. Nice thing there is you can create subnets. You have a question?
How do you plan to manage gas price?
It's actually not us, it's the DAO. So the base fee is set by voting. In case currently it's set that an average smart contract and the base fee equals like roughly 1 cent. And in future, if the token is listed on an exchange and it rises, for instance, then actually a vote is initiated and the validators can say, yes, we adapt the gas price or not, the base fee.
Okay, very good, cool.
So that's the idea behind that one. Contract chain, EVM compatible. There, 95% of the traffic will be there. DApps, ERC20 tokens, NFTs, and X-chain is actually for fast transfer of digital assets, which costs you even less than 1 cent. And what Sam is currently building on is the touristic chain. So that's the fourth chain, and that's the real innovation we are bringing. So basically, data standards on the blockchain and making sure we can use blockchain advantages compared to today's world, so wallet, basically how to connect that and where to store the data. Also that different entities, airline, security, boarding, can access the data on base of need. So that's the idea behind the T-chain. We have a non-custodial wallet, we have a block explorer, first version, and we are connected in the backend with KYC, anti-money laundering system, because compliance is really one of the topics we are investing a lot of money and efforts in, because we're working with quite settled corporates as well. And to become a validator, I mean, you need to be from the travel industry. Every validator in our network has exactly the same stake, meaning doesn't matter if you're Booking.com or a small hotel, you will have the same amount of transactions and the same amount of voting power in the system. And basically, even if you're a multinational company, there's one company, one validator, one vote. Doesn't matter if you're TUI or a small Spanish tour operator, it's exactly the same. Very Swiss democratic system. And these are some of the topics validators can vote on. So from DApp incentives, who's joining as a new validator, dispute resolution, transaction fees, and so on. And you can actually currently interact on 3 levels with Camino. You can become a supporter, so basically be kept in the loop, learn, play around. You can join our DApp incentive program and become a DA developer, or you can go full in and become a validator as well. Some of the use cases partners are building, and this is also a very important differentiation. We ourselves are not building any kind of front ends or smart contracts. We are focused on infrastructure. All our partners are building on different kind of things, and it's really no joke when I tell you I had like 600-700 calls with different companies in the past year, and most of them are looking at blockchain technology from complete different angles and try to solve complete different things. And this is the great thing, and sometimes also the really hard thing to explain about blockchain technology. It is agnostic, it's very versatile, and you can do a lot of things with that. But at the end of the day, it must make sense. Not talking too much about trading, because Michele from Peakwork will tell about that. We are working with a company called Travel Ledger, for instance, for payment and settlement solutions. Loyalty, huge topic, of course. There are different kind of use cases out there. We have a startup focusing now on wallet rates, meaning that actually you as a customer can search on your wallet, but not make a classical search like hundreds of results coming back. So basically you say, I want this, and then interested parties can send to your wallet specific offers. Also bypassing best price clauses. So basically they can do personalization as well if they're able to read what's in there. Digital collectibles, I think Anna made a good point by saying it needs to have some kind of added value. So token gating is one of the examples. A lot of companies are looking into that, and so on and so on. I think I'm not going into all of that because it's quite versatile and the time is already over. Good. This is our roadmap, what we are building right now. And yeah, maybe the last slide I wanted to show you, I think what's important from our perspective for the future, blockchain will be one building block for the digital ecosystem in the future. So we believe there will be wallets. There will be a war on wallets as well. I mean, once the SEC basically in the US says, hey, digital collectibles and digital assets are fine, then you will see Google and Apple entering that. You will see the telecommunication companies entering that game as well. We can digitalize much more than we have today. Digitalization of assets is nothing new in the travel industry. We've been doing that since 60 years with airline seats and hotel rooms and so on, but you can do much more experience as well. And I think it will also be really an ecosystem of combining blockchain, AI, sensors, Internet of Things, and then we can really talk finally about what I've heard since I started in the travel industry, seamless travel experience, because today we have too much friction in the systems, and basically that has never been a reality so far. So, any questions?
Are there with the time? So one question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Cynthia.
If you look at the travel industry as a whole, there's a lot of transactions happening. And blockchains today, regardless of what chain you're looking at, L2, L1 or L2, the TPS is not up to the where we need it to be. So how is Camino thinking about scalability and throughput? And like, what does that look like to get to where we actually need to?
Yeah. Good question, because the number of transactions, if we break it down, 99% of the transaction is search volume. We have a conversion rate of roughly 1%. right, worldwide looking. So 99% of volume that hits the system is actually just for searches. So that's why we are planning with the T-Chain to introduce APIs as well, so that we can actually really query the source systems itself. I mean, storing all the data on the blockchain doesn't make sense because we are talking volatile data, we are talking dynamic pricing, and if you store it in a way that all the validators in future need to revalidate that data, that means you need to keep that data for the next 20 years. That would just explode the disk space. So that's why we are thinking about using APIs as well for searches and or new approaches when it comes to bookings. Instead of generating so much data beforehand, why not using personalized offers as well? Any other questions?
Thank you very much then, Pablo. Just one thing I wanted to ask you, Pablo, but maybe I'll explain it. Like, what are validators? Well, yeah, I sent you back, but actually, because maybe not everybody is clear what a validator is.
So a validator is an external entity that provides hardware on the one hand side. So I mean, in a blockchain environment, you have no central servers, so you have decentralized servers. And the validators itself, they provide hardware to secure the network. The more validators, the better. And they actually validate transactions in the network, right? And if you are a validator in Camino, then you are automatically part of the government body and are able as well to vote on all the topics I just showed you.
Thank you.